Welcome to our 100th program of Prime Group Kaleidoscope, and what a week it has been. We have always wanted to give a dose of positivity and optimism to the people of Sri Lanka, and that's why we began Kaleidoscope right in the middle of the pandemic in May 2020. A huge thank you to our sponsors, past and present, plus all those who have supported us over 100 weeks. Thank you. Right now, our nation's people are calling for change, and today, on our 100th program, we celebrate our nation's courage, especially our young people, in coming together as a collective voice.
Welcome to The Grand, Ward Place, an award-winning condominium project where luxury embraces aesthetics, discernment, life and privacy as one. Call 0702 777 777 to schedule a private viewing today. The Grand, there is only one.
We tackle some burning questions at hand, the current question of power and the question of what awaits the new CBSL governor, plus add some colour with blooms. And we have gifts from Fox Resorts, Rodrigo's and Speed Reading with Sanjeev to give away today. Keep us on your radar, subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn.
Welcoming all of you with warmth and care. Commercial Bank. Our interest is in you.
Here's a quick look at the week that was on Commercial Bank Snapshot. The ADB forecasts Sri Lanka's economy will dip to 2.4% this year due to high debt and low foreign reserves, and will improve only marginally next year, that's in 2023, to 2.5%. Sri Lanka's consumer price inflation hit 55% in March. Sri Lanka's government debt soared to 109.3% of GDP in 2021. Some good news, apparel exports amounted to about $470 million in February, up by 11.54% year on year. With professionalism being the clarion call of the day, Srilanka Life rewarded its top sales professionals as well as non-sales teams with over 800 performance awards and a top prize of a hybrid sedan. Elon Musk becomes Twitter's biggest shareholder. With John Batiste crowned the king of the Grammys with 5 awards, Best Solo Artist, Olivia Rodrigo broke one of the 3 Grammy trophies she won.
Welcoming all of you with warmth and care. Commercial Bank. Our interest is in you.
Welcome, you're watching Commercial Bank News Capsule. The People's Power protests around Sri Lanka have intensified, forcing the resignation of some in public office. With much at stake for Sri Lanka and the ongoing IMF dialogue, the appointment of Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, a career central banker renowned for his solid understanding of monetary policy and excellent relations with the IMF, as Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, was very welcome. The task that awaits Dr. Veerasinghe will not be easy and was likened to walking into a fireball by former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. W.A. Vijayawardena, when I asked him for his opinion on the new governor's priorities.
The new governor is actually getting himself into a it's a fireball. And unless he is able to get out of the fireball without being burnt, probably the country also will lose. And the main problem that we are facing today is the scarcity of foreign exchange and the total usable foreign reserves that we have come down to about say $400 billion US, and which is not sufficient. And also he has to face the problem that for the first time in Sri Lanka's history, central banks' foreign assets have become negative. Negative means that the foreign liabilities are much more than the foreign assets it has. Now, what it means is it has borrowed more than what it holds as assets. And that negative position is rising month after month. At the end of January, it is about 3.2 billion US dollars, which is up from 1.9 billion as at end of December 2021. And we don't have later data, but later data also suggests that the net foreign asset position of the central bank is negative much more than what it had been in January. He will have to rescue first the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, and after rescuing the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, he will have to rescue all of us.
At the Colombo stock market this week, the old share price index fluctuated quite wildly, ending the week only marginally down. The average daily turnover remained low at 1.5 billion rupees. WTI oil moved down below $98 per barrel due to the US administration planning to release 180 million barrels from their special petroleum reserves. US Treasury yields spiked and pushed gold prices down to $1,921 per ounce, much lower than the 2052 highs it hit in March. Delicious is what Vogue described the red carpet looks at the 64th Grammy Awards this year. The Grammys are all about embracing individuality and making a statement. And a statement they did make. Celebrating our 100th program today, we are gifting. 2 of our lucky subscribers or followers will get yummy goodie boxes from Rodrigo's, and another subscriber or follower will win a one-night stay at Fox Resort in Kandy or Jaffna. You choose. Press those follow and subscribe buttons quick. Also, our speed reading with Sanjeev gifts are on offer. You can learn to speed read now from anywhere in the world. Simply let us know. It's completely free.
We are here to better your lives and champion your every goal. With 12 billion rupees worth of customer benefits in 2020 and a life insurance fund worth over 100 billion rupees, our strength is your strength. You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Srilanka Life.
When we started Kaleidoscope in May 2020, the country was in the throes of a pandemic. Now, just 100 weeks later, the pandemic is on the back burner. Instead, the country has plunged into darkness in more ways than one, precipitated by the lack of fuel, leading to massive power shortages, grinding the economy to a halt. Energy analyst Dr. Savithri Rodrigo has been on Kaleidoscope many times, always advocating the need for Sri Lanka to switch to renewable energy. And today, however, we are going to ask him a few burning questions which have fueled this power crisis. Welcome, Vidra, to Srilanka Life. Let's talk. Currently, Sri Lanka generates power via 4 main sources. Annually, the mix is 35% coal, 35% hydro, 10% small-scale renewables, and 20% oil. This combination is not working, it's not sustainable either, and we are forced to have power cuts. Given this current situation, how do you think we can maintain uninterrupted power for Sri Lanka?
So our power capacity is quite tight, but it's possible to give uninterrupted power provided that we manage our existing capacity quite well. The situation that has arisen in terms of power shortages is simply because we did not have foreign exchange to buy imported fossil fuel, and that led to overconsumption of hydro, and thereby depleting our hydro storage level. Now we are in a critical situation. Even if we have enough foreign currency to buy oil, we will still have to do curtailment because we don't have hydro, because our system is designed to run with all 3 types of generation. Even as we speak, quite a lot of our oil-based power plants currently don't have power. For example, we don't have power in the power barge, we don't have power in the Sapugaskanda complex, even though we procured a Sabilipitia power plant as emergency basis. Even that plant is idling because we don't have oil. So unless we get the fuel situation rectified as fast as possible, we are not going to come out of this. And even if we get the fuel situation under control because of the depleted hydro reserves, until major rains come, we will be facing power cuts.
Given that successive governments have failed to attend to the power problem, what can you and I, as the general public, do to mitigate this crisis? Do we go for off-grid solutions?
So going off-grid will solve the solution for you, but it does not solve the solution for the country, because not everyone has the capability of going off-grid. First of all, it's highly capital intensive, and it requires roof space. So, for example, if you're an apartment dweller, that facility is not available to you. I think there is a contribution that all of us can make, that is adding as much of electric generation into the grid that we can do by adding rooftop solar into our rooftops. We can also get rid of inefficient equipment, use energy in a very consciously so that you reduce the waste. All of these help.
Industry needs power, and they need reasonably priced power. Given that they already have access to large tracts of land and roof space, do you think we can give them access to more state lands and ask them to provide viable power solutions, the expenses of which could then be used for tax deductions maybe?
One way private companies can contribute is actually work with renewable energy developers. They don't have to do it by themselves, and develop large-scale renewable projects and get it through the grid in a concept called power wheeling. It's still not allowed in Sri Lanka, but this is something that the corporate sector and private individuals both must push for. Then we are not dependent on CEB acquiring renewable energy into the grid. We can do it ourselves in a direct one-to-one contract, and thereby insulating ourselves from excessive price rises that is going to come up when CEB starts increasing the power rates. And this is the fastest way that we can add renewables to the grid, because you don't have to go through the CEB red tape and there are delays and procurement mechanisms, and do a direct contract with the renewable energy developer. Of course, this is not yet allowed in the current legislative structure, but this is something that the Chamber of Commerce has urgently asked for, and quite a lot of people who are looking at reforming the sector is asking for. And I think this must be done on a fast-track basis, because that's the only way that we could get large amounts of renewable energy into the grid within a very short period of time. And what I mean by that is we need to get large amount of renewable energy within a period of 9 months at most. If you don't do that, we will be having the same conversation in the middle of power cuts next year as well.
Let's hope that at least now Sri Lanka will have the foresight to put in place an astute energy security policy and strategy. Or we may be here again in 9 months' time discussing the same issue amid power cuts. So on our 100th program of Kaleidoscope, we thought on Life in 60 we will bring some blooms into the picture. Look at this amazing arrangement, and all done by Dilshara Pereira, who is the founder of Blooms. Tell me, Dilshara, how did you get into this amazingly beautiful piece of work, plus all the other stuff you do?
Well, I was born and bred in Bandaraville, so it was always growing up with flowers. So, and my father was also a planter, so we were exposed to a lot of gardens and events and a lot of flower decor.
What made you go into it commercially?
To send us to school, my dad started a little shop in Colombo. It was like his hobby actually. So I took up the shop from him about 15 years back. I do anything to do with flowers. Even from the smallest bunch of flowers. We like to do events, parties, weddings, corporate functions. We grow our own flowers in Bandaraville. We have a nursery at the moment. I like to take it further by giving more employment to the people who are willing to work in the garden. There are so much of job opportunities there as well.
Look at this bright and sort of exquisite amount of color that you put into people's homes, into people's lives.
Thank you so much.
As we bear witness to the strength and courage of our nation, until we return next Friday, keep in mind our Kaleidoscope takeaway. Where there is unity, there is always victory.